Gary Kosman, having graduated with a social policy degree in 2000, is the founder and CEO of America Learns, an 11-year-old company that helps nonprofit and government institutions to monitor and improve service delivery. America Learns came out of Gary's experiences at SESP, where he was challenged by professors including Karen Fusen, Miriam Sharon, Jim Spillane, Dan Lewis, Penelope Peterson, Jean Eggman, Luis Gomez, Dory Blessoff, and Bart Hirsch. The company now serves organizations operating across 46 states, Guam, and a number of locations in Africa and South America. Clients include the American Red Cross, New York City's mayor's office, and the state of Washington. As a result of America Learns' early success, Gary was recently named a scholar with Goldman Sachs' 10K Small Businesses Initiative, the company's small business accelerator program. Gary was named among the 10 best emerging social entrepreneurs worldwide by Echoing Green, the global social venture firm. In September 2007, former President Bill Clinton recognized Gary and America Learns in the book, Giving: How Each of Us Can Change the World. In 2013, Gary was named among the world's leading social entrepreneurs in the book, Creating Good Work. Gary received an iParenting Media Excellent Products of 2007 award for his co-authorship of the family literacy book, Bonding While Learning: Activities to Grow Your Relationship While Preparing for Reading Success. Now, when he's not focused on leading America Learns, you can find Gary mentoring young entrepreneurs, volunteering as a board member with Centro Latino for Literacy, practicing yoga, or taking some sort of class outside of his area of expertise to open up his mind to new experiences. And with that, I introduce to you Gary Kosman.
Thank you. Thank you. I've never spoken with a sign language interpreter before, so if I go too fast or slur my words, please throw something at me. It's amazing to be back here. And I want to take a moment again to recognize and thank the many professors who made so much time for me when I was here, whenever I was nagging them with various research or life crisis questions. To the students on the committee who invited me here today, thank you. This is truly one of the brightest moments of my post-Northwestern career so far. And this is also one of the brightest moments for my family as well. My parents and my cousin Sharon are here. Thanks, you three, for always providing so much love and support. All right, graduates, let's do this. So graduates, underneath or on the armrest of your seats, you're gonna find a very important bag with your name on it. Go ahead and grab it, but don't open it. Don't open it. If you do, your diplomas will self-destruct. Graduates, I'm going to guess that at some point in your life, even some point this year or even this morning, you may have found yourself at a crossroads. You saw one or more paths ahead of you, and maybe you're kind of freaking out about which one to take. Should I pursue more formal education, or should I take a gap year? Should I spend a year traveling, or should I take that first job and start building up my finances? Should I teach in a local school, or heck, maybe I should go off to Spain and teach there for a couple years? If I close my eyes for just a couple seconds, I totally can feel the angst that was pouring through my body when I was a senior a couple months before graduation. And I still remember the moment that calmed me down. It was in Professor Miriam Sharon's office, and she told me a simple truth. She said, Gary, either path's a good one. And the advice was great, so simple, so true. It was exactly what I needed to hear, and I'm sure the same is true for many, if not most of you. The options you have for your life right now, or the options you're going to create pretty soon, are awesome. But there's something that Miriam didn't tell me about, and it wasn't her responsibility to do so. She didn't tell me about the piles and piles of medical bills that I would stack up since graduating from Northwestern. And now you guys may be thinking, all right, we're going to go into a Debbie Downer story about how Gary fought some crazy disease off. And we're not going there, don't worry. I don't do Debbie Downer. You're going to instead hear a story about a personality trait that led to a really bad habit. So my junior year at SESP, I took an incredible learning and organizational change class with Professor Dory Blessoff. And Dory broke us into teams on the first day of class. On the last day of class, each team member needed to grade and evaluate each other team member. And I'll never forget one of the evaluations that I got. Gary, if I could describe you in one word, it would be intense. And it was a fair label. And fast forward to 2001, summer of 2001, a year after I graduated, it was then when I decided to pull a component from my senior honors thesis and try to turn it into the company I now lead, America Learns. And for the first 7 years that I worked on that company, the intense label was extraordinarily on the mark. With just a few exceptions, I worked 7 days a week for a disgusting number of hours a day. And if you talk to my parents here after graduation, they can attest that even on family vacations, I would normally be locked in my hotel room clicking away on the keyboard. I was obsessed with turning my dream into reality. And slowly but surely, that dream became reality. But also, slowly but surely, my hands began to feel differently. The palms of my hands became really sore. My fingers started hurting. The joints in my fingers started hurting. Soon that hurt turned into a throbbing pain, mostly while I was working at the keyboard. And then eventually that throbbing pain was going on 24/7. And eventually it got to the point where if I were to pick up these papers, throbbing pain would soar through my entire body. And I spent countless hours and so much of my own and my parents' money on doctor's visits and this medical procedure and that medical procedure. And the diagnosis, it wasn't carpal tunnel. It wasn't arthritis. It wasn't some funky disease. I ended up self-diagnosing myself. I overused my hands. My muscles and tendons were overused. My body was giving me the same exact feedback I got from my LOC class my junior year. Dude, you're intense. It was the manifestation of an old habit, the one where I got so wrapped up into a goal that I ignored some of the most important things, namely how my body was feeling. And the solution didn't lie in a medication or in a doctor. The solution lied in really learning to listen to my body and respecting that as I pursued a goal. So I wasn't going to share this, but I'm going to. Whenever I think of this turning point, I often think of a conversation I had with my grandmother, my Mimi, at her kitchen table. And she said, Gary, you know, you really need to make more room for kissy-kissy in your life. And while that was true, the solution to the problem encompassed far more than that. I needed to work my butt off to figure out the source of the habit and then take specific steps to start killing it, to dramatically cut back on the hours I was working, to take time to find efficiencies in various processes, and to do things that people who live in Los Angeles do. Yoga, meditation. I even took some acting classes, and I learned that all three of those practices, yoga, meditation, acting, can all be amazing ways to identify and kill nasty habits. And now I even put my company into what we call hibernation for about 6 weeks a year, where we actually freeze all of our outbound sales operations. We make sure that nobody stays at the office past 5. And we just take stock of how the year went, and what do we need to do to take better care of ourselves, and what can we do to take better care of our customers, and what can we do to improve our operations, and what parts of our culture do we need to change. And I swear to you that it's because we stop. That's the reason we're growing so quickly. That's the reason why we're going to have clients in all 50 states by the end of this year. Thanks. And I really encourage each of you that as you run into challenges in life, Sometimes ask nature what nature would do. Nature's been doing this for a few billion years. It's found a way to be sustainable. Ask it what it does. It's a whole other speech, but that's that. So as I became better at listening to and respecting my body, the pain in my body began to disappear. Habit nailed. See ya. So here's my point, and this is what I ask each of you to consider from our time together today. The advice that Miriam gave me was very true. The multiple paths you can take will nearly always each represent a journey worth living for and learning from. But the path you take isn't going to be the thing that shapes you the most. The thing that shapes you the most are the habits that you're going to take on that journey. The thing that shapes you the most are going to be the habits that you take along your journey. Think about it. If you're pretty bad with money, regardless of the professional path you take, you're probably going to have some financial hardships. If you don't eat well, regardless of whether you pursue more education, you're probably not going to be the healthiest person around. If you tend to repeat a habit that hurts your romantic relationships, you're likely asking for a life in which you're constantly hurting yourself and others around you. You, each of you, know all of this already. But all of us spent years here at SESP studying what makes people tick in various environments, and we know that some of the most important moments we had here was when we ran straight into the obvious face first. So, superstars in purple and black. A question I'd like you to ask yourselves right now is, what's one healthy habit you developed while you were here at Northwestern that really propelled you forward over the past few years? And then what's one habit that didn't serve you well at all, that did nothing good for you? And if you think about the path you know you're going to take, or the options you're looking at right now, what might happen on that path if you don't address that bad habit soon? I don't recommend the medical bills route. All right, it's time for the bags. Everyone have them? Everyone have them? Okay, I hear the paper. So please listen to my precise instructions. There are multiple items in those bags, but the items must each be used in a very specific order. First, please take the pen and blank business card out of your bag. Is it raining? And on one side of the card, please write the positive habit that you developed or refined during your time at NU that you would like to continue to develop. Your families, your faculty, and I are going to give you 40-ish seconds to write this down. Friends and family, I'm going to ask that we give our graduates a moment of quiet as they do this. About 10 more secs. All right. Now on the other side, please write down the habit that you'd like to begin to get rid of. Your families, friends, faculty, and I are going to give you another 40-ish seconds to do this. All right. You finished quickly. So I strongly encourage each of you to keep these cards in your wallets or set them as the wallpaper on your phones. Ideally, over the next year, you'll look at this card, if not daily, at least a few times a week, keeping these goals towards the front of your mind so you can develop the life you want to live. So graduates, I want to leave you with one more very quick story that's related to the habit you'd like to kill. Back in April, I was sitting in a bar in Northern California, and I started talking to the woman next to me. Her name was Susan Rockwise. And Susan's a baby boomer. She recently retired, and it turned out she used to be the worldwide creative director at Intel. And she also worked with Steve Jobs as he was starting up Apple. Interestingly, she was the only person who was quoted directly in Steve Jobs' official obituary. And talking with this woman was an amazing treat. And she told me that the best advice she ever received came from Andy Grove, the former CEO of Intel. And Andy told her, Susan, stay with the encouragers. Stay away from the discouragers. Graduates, keep the people who encourage you to be your best in your life as close as possible to you. Shun the people who say you can't do something. You just use this opportunity to really think about a change you want to make that will dramatically improve your chances of having the life you want. And you, like everybody in this room, grows and changes. But over and over again in life, I guarantee you're going to run into people who tell you that people can't change. But when you're truly committed to growing yourself, don't let discouragers into one of your inner circles. If anything, tell them this to get them thinking. Even the smallest chihuahua can lift its leg on the tallest skyscraper. Then walk away. So if you open your bags again, you're going to see a piece of chocolate. It's the last piece of chocolate you'll have from the candy jar in the SESP Student Affairs office. That so many of you found calm and community in while you were here. Go ahead and open up that chocolate now. I want to hear another rainstorm. Smell that candy. If you're a peanut intolerant, trade. Sorry, with the Mr. Goodbars. Smell it, taste it. Make this moment of your accomplishment as sweet as possible to as many of your senses as possible. Now go make yourselves proud. Kick butt, or as my mom over here would say, give 'em hell, honeys. Congratulations.